Hello, good day YouTube followers. Today I want to show you how to build an Android calculator. As you can see right in front of me, we are going to be doing exactly the same thing as we have here, okay? So I've already finished the project, but I want to show you how to do that from scratch. Below this YouTube channel, you will find a link from where you can download this file if you want to do that, okay? So I won't start from the beginning again, but let's assume you already have a new project, okay? And once you create a new project, name it what you like, say scientific calculator or whatever you want, okay? Once you have that done, you are going to see a layout called activity main, okay? So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to copy this and then I'm going to paste it back here. You don't have to do this with me, so let me just call this layout calculator. Let me just call it whatever. Say cal. Okay. Say okay. Then it's going to create the layout for me. Of course, this layout is a replicate of the former layout you already know. So I'm going to delete this so that it looks as much as you can see. You can see it's the same thing with the first activity main I already had. So I'm going to delete it so that I will start from scratch to design this. Okay, so I'm deleting the entire thing. Now yours is definitely going to look as mine, okay? Right now the name of your application will appear here and everything will just be empty. So let's get started. Get back to design, okay? And getting back to design, you can see how everything looks here. Now what we're actually going to do is we are going to need a linear layout, okay? So click and drag linear layout inside this place. Now on getting to the properties of the linear layout, okay, let's leave everything to match parents, or we can better say few parents if you can see few parents in yours, because older versions I realize they don't have few parents. Otherwise you can as well type it in here, okay? So once we've set it to this, that is all we need, okay? And right now we need another thing. We need, like, if you look here in my activity main, you can see there is a place where people will have to enter number, okay? So for us to do that, we need scroll down and find number under your widgets, okay? Find number. There is one of these called number. Okay, I have that under text fields. So drag and drop number here, okay? Make sure you drop it inside your linear layout. You will see it appears under the linear layout in your component tree here. So having done that, we can set the width to few parents, and the height as well to few parents. Don't mind it. It's looking messier, but don't mind it, okay? And what else do we do? We are going to get again linear layouts. We are going to get again linear layouts this time around. We as well drag it into, we have to drag it, I don't know, okay, I think I can as well drop it here. So let me drop it below the edit text under my component tree here. Some people might find their component tree somewhere around here, depending on the version of the Android Studio you are using, okay? So having done that, you can see the linear layout is just very small here. So make sure your linear layout is selected. Come in here, set it to few parents, okay? Then let's get to layout width. I want you to set it to 1. Let's set it to 1. What happened? Is still where it is. Now this guy here, let's set this guy to something like, let's set it to 10 and see what happens. Now you can see that the edit text is now smaller, and this guy now takes up the major part of the environment, okay? So, and I think in this one, I think my linear layout is actually taking, let's see what it's actually taking. it was taking 1.5, and the edit text, the layout was 10. Okay, so let's do the same here so that it gets better. Let's make this guy 10. It's already 10. This guy, let's make it 1.5. Let's fill it 1.5. Okay, now it makes it just a little bigger so that people can see it. Now, having done that, I will want us to drag and drop a linear layout, this time around horizontal. Initially we'll be using vertical. So let's drag and drop horizontal inside here, and let's drag, make sure you leave it on top, right on top of this. Okay, that's it. So having done that, you can see it enters inside this guy here. Okay, and now we will drag and drop something immediately. I'm going to drag and drop this guy, this small button, and I'll do the same thing 3 times. Small button, I'll do the same thing 3 times. You will notice, because you are using horizontal layout, linear layout horizontal, you can see they are all fixing themselves just right here. We're going to do that 4 times, because what we need is about 4 times. Okay, and now I want you to select any of these guys, select any of them, like the first one, select the first one, double click on it. In the text field value, you just say like 1, we want it to be 1. Then you can call it whatever you want. Let the ID be btn1, something like that. Okay, so that is it, it becomes 1. Then you have to do the same thing here. This guy is 2, and the other guy, let's call it btn2. Enter. This guy, we'll call it 3. Let's call it btn3. So, and this guy, we'll call it 4. Let's call it btn4. That is okay. So what else do we do now? What I want you to do is select this btn1 in your component tree, hold down your shift key and select btn4. Okay, now having done that, what else do we do? I want us to come to this field under width. Let us set it to field parent. Under this, don't mind what is happening on the screen here as everything is caching. Under field height, set it to field parent. Don't mind everything, just under your layout width, set it to 1. Okay, enter. Remember, we are fixing everything at the same time, all the 4 of them. Okay, now let's minimize this. Alright, now having done this, I want to set the layout width of this linear layout to 1. Let's set it to 1. Okay, now having done that, what we will now do will be simple. Let's get into the text version of our XML. Okay, and what do we do now? I need this linear layout. I need this linear layout. Now that is this very guy here. What will I do? I just have to copy the guy, the linear layout. Ctrl C, okay. Then get to the end of the whole thing, break, and paste it with Ctrl V. Go down again with enter, Ctrl V to paste. Go down again with enter, Ctrl V to paste. Now I'm going to get back to edit mode and show you what I've actually done. Now there may be a lot of error here, but I hope things will resolve themselves. There should be, you can see what we've just done. So you can now rename them to whatever you want, say 5, and then here we say btn5. Okay, enter. Then you do the same thing for every other guy there. 6. It's here 6. 7. It's here 7. 8. If you don't change this, remember, it's going to give you an error because we have already assigned the same ID to this very number, so we need to change them here. Otherwise, I can just get into my text and do it right here, okay? And you can see there are errors here. That's why you have red. So if, for instance, if I zoom down this guy, let me see if he has any error. Okay, he obviously doesn't have any error. So I'm going to minimize it completely. Then the next guy, minimize it down. Let's correct his errors. Okay, so here the text should be, let's see what the text should be. So this guy should be 9 this time around, 9. Then we go down at the end of this place, we fix 9 too. Then we'll go down to this guy. This guy should now be 7. Okay. Then here we have 0. And you keep going down. Let's get to this guy. We can make this guy dots. Then here let's use dots. ETN dots. Okay. And let's see who else. If I have 0 is dots, then what should the next person there be? Maybe the next person we can call it CE. Okay, CE. Maybe we can call him CE, and let's call this guy the same thing, CE. Okay. Now, having done this, I will want you to repeat it. I don't want to keep doing this. Let me just say, maybe you repeat the same process. Rename everything here. Create them further until you have both call, stand, whatever we have here. Okay? Now, having done that, I want to change to a bigger screen, let's say 5.7 inches screen size. Now you can see how everything actually looks. That's okay. So I want you to create both for course, sign, turn, and whatever. That's all we need. Now, having done that, I would like you to get into your Java folder. Make sure you are under Android here. Okay? Then you are under Java. Then you have your first one, which is the Java activity, main activity XML. Okay? So here we have a bunch of code. Oops. And I've already written the codes. I won't be doing them one by one again. So what actually happens is that I'm going to leave you with the code. You can copy them. You can see here I try to define the edit text we already had in our XML. I defined all the buttons, all of them. Then I defined all of them again. Then here I try to create some variables that we'll be using. Okay, there has to be 3 variables. They answer the first value provided and the second value provided. I assign them value because sometimes working with double here in Java is not actually so easy, and you have to give them value at first, otherwise the program runs into a terrible error. Okay, Then here I created some other symbols again, which will be our signs. You have sign as string, okay. Then you have bowling, whether the question has been solved or not. I created all these things, they were all used in the program. Now on going down here, I created a method, and in this very method I tried adding it on our onCreate event, okay. So make sure after creating the method that you add it. If you don't do it, your program will not load, okay. When you click on those buttons at the end of the day, you will not see anything. Now I try to give the text value, the text I defined above some value, which is I told it to find whatever that is in our activity XML, whatever I named as edit text. Of course you can see the name is edit text, so the code should find whatever we have there as edit text, okay. And the same thing, I did the same thing for all the buttons. If you don't do it, those buttons will not work, okay. Then here I try to create events for each and every one of those buttons, and I'm going to explain what I actually did in all of them. So here you do, of course this code is compulsory. If you don't do it, there's a way, of course there's a way we can actually make all the numbers to use the same event, but let's just forget about that for now. Here I've tried to set this on click event listener, okay, on click listener event, so that when somebody clicks on the button, whatever we have within this code block will run. So here you have if solved is equal to true. That's, we already have a variable that is checking whether the question has been solved. So if the question has been solved, or it has been solved without equal to, because there are some situations where the question can be solved without equal to, like when the person uses all this sign to sign and whatever, of course he has actually solved it without equal to. So when such a thing has happened, then I want to clear the content of that text box. So that is what I actually did here. And then again I will be setting the solved value equal to false, and solved without equal to false. So what this actually means is that if the person solved the question using the equals button, as we have here, this equals button here, so that's what actually happens. Now getting back to our Java, activity.java, okay, you have, I try then to extract whatever that is the content of, whatever that is the content of the button. Okay, sorry, here I try to set the content of the text box, which is the edit text, to whatever that is the content of the edit text already, converting it to string plus whatever that is written in the button that has been clicked, okay. So btn 0, of course what we have written in it is 0, so when the person clicks on it, is going to add to whatever that is already in the, let me get to it and explain very well. So when somebody clicks on 1, it's going to add to this edit number whatever you already have in 1. Meanwhile, let me explain. If you look here, you find out that I have enter number here. What I actually did is that if you go to the property of that edit text, there is something called hint. Now if you go to hint, type in whatever you want the person to be seeing here. So the person will actually see it, but when he clicks inside it to type, it disappears. That is hint for you, okay. So let's get back. So I've just tried to assign those values to, when somebody clicks, it asks whatever that is there. If the question has been solved before, it's going to clear the whole thing and then start typing the number again, okay. So you do the same thing for all the buttons. Let me scroll down here. I have the add button. Of course you do the same thing for the btn dots, that's stop. So down here I tried doing that of the add button. So what I try to do there is I get the value of this. I said, okay, I check if this guy, our second value has been set to none. Otherwise, let's convert whatever that is in the text box to double, and then assign this guy will now clear. So when somebody clicks plus, it collects whatever that is inside the text box and then clears the text box. Then makes the sign, there's a variable called sign, to be plus. Okay, then it's going to set our value 2 to be 1. It's going to set our value 2 to be 1. I should have made this 0. I don't know whether it will be giving me an error, but I should have made this 0. Okay, maybe is one actually, because there's a place I'll be using it to consider something. So then here, that's if the person is clicking the plus sign the first time, this thing will happen. But if he has clicked the plus sign the first time and he is clicking it again, and what it will actually do now is it's going to add whatever that is there, right there as the value of as our solved answer. It will add it to whatever, I don't know, I can't remember what I did, but what is actually going to do is, you notice that somebody can click something like 4 plus 1 plus again, instead of clicking equal to, he will say plus again. So when such a thing happens, that's what I try to catch here. Then remember, I include all these things in try catch, so that when it runs into an error, it will set the content of the text box to be 0. That's what I actually did. I should have set it to error, but I let it be 0. So I did the same thing for the subtract button for the, okay, then in the clear button, that's the btnc. What I actually did is that I set it to, I tried to clear the content of the text, then gave this guy value 0, gave this guy value this, okay, and the button CE. So this guy will clear everything, but this CE will actually clear the last text you have, okay, the last alphabet or the number, the last number in the text box. So here I tried to do a little mathematics. I said it's I tried giving it the length of the entire text in the text box. So here I try to set the text box to whatever that is the text box, the subsequence. Now I try to subtract 1 from whatever I have inside it. That's what I actually did here. Okay, everything is includes under try catch statement. Now if you do all these things here, I was only changing the sign, what the sign will be. Okay, let's scroll down. So under exponent, there are formulas for exponent. So I try to raise it to power, math.double.power. Sometimes when you type all these things, you have to import. There's actually a namespace that helps you do all these things. You have to make sure that you've imported all of them. Okay. Okay, I don't even have anything imported as import math or whatever. Okay, but whichever way, in case you have some error, make sure that you've imported everything correctly. Otherwise, Android Studio will always tell you to press alternate enter or something like that to fix that error, and it does that. Okay, so you do the same thing until, so this very one, if you look here, you see percentage. Here I tried to solve the percentage. I got the formula from Google how to solve percentage, then I fixed it, all my variables, and it solves very well. Okay, and now let's get down to time, cost, all these things. You just say math.this, so it gives you that. Then you fill in the parameters that are needed. Everything will just solve themselves. So right here you can see everything is okay. Then let's get to equals button. So when the person clicks equals button, you can see I actually minimize something here, so don't get me wrong. This is how it is supposed to look. Okay, so let me maximize. Let me minimize it again. So I enclose it, of course, under try catch so that it doesn't run into error. Now, if you look here, you see I try to set this guy to be whatever that is already here in the text box. Then I selected the sign using switch keys. If you go to the add button, you see where I was assigning values to this sign. So here I try to check, okay, what's the sign? Say plus. If it is plus, then I want to do this guy, print. I did all these things in single line so that it looks neat to me. Okay, but they're supposed to be different lines or something like that. Okay, and right here, if the person is trying to raise something to power, okay, then you should now raise that into power. This guy. Okay, then here I don't know what I'm trying to do here. Maybe I'm trying to set the text value to the answer. Okay, I want to set it to whatever our answer is, and then I clear the values of all these our variables. I cleared everything and reset all of them. So that is how to build an Android calculator. I hope you don't get me wrong. Make sure that you do everything correctly. Right here in this Android.main-activity.java, you need to be careful of certain things. For instance, you need to make sure that the object you are using is actually what you gave it, and that you have defined them here. Okay, you make sure that you have defined them here. And for instance, here you might encounter some error in this r.id. whatever. You might encounter some error. Why will you encounter such error? If what you are calling, for instance, if I delete this 0 and then it's something like 10, you can see I have an error. Why? Because there is just nothing under my activity.xml. I have nothing here called btn 0. I mean btn 10. You can see I don't have anything. So that's why you will encounter such errors like this guy. If I'm going to undo it, Ctrl Z to undo that. So you will encounter such errors like this. So you need to make sure that what you are doing is okay and perfectly fine. So having done this, we can run the calculator and see how it works. But I'm actually having problem doing this. So my system may hang and I won't be running anything right now. But just know that the calculator works very, very fine. Maybe let me start up my BlueStack and show you how the calculator works perfectly in my listing. So that is by the way. Meanwhile, there was something I did. If you notice, if you come down to this last guy here, okay, this last linear layout, it's the same thing with every other linear layout, but it has only 2 buttons. Okay, so what I actually did was that this percent button, I made it to fill parent, the same thing as equal button, but the layout weight, I added this guy to be 1, and now this guy is 3. That makes this guy to take, this guy will now take the 3 out of the 4 spaces that is left here. Okay, and then this guy takes only 1. That's a kind of inverse of it or something like that. So this guy will now take -3 or something like that. So that's the way Android Studio defines it, and this guy takes just 1, which is a kind of inverse, or I don't know how, but that's really what happens. So you may be finding it hard to do this kind of thing, but just know that this is what I actually did here. Okay, so let me open up my BlueStacks and let's play around with the calculator and see what happens. So I don't know if there is any other thing I may need to show you here. I don't know if there is any other thing I may need to show you here. Okay, so here in our Android manifest.xml, you see that under res. Is it res? Okay, sorry, you see manifest here, Android on manifest. So if you open up this guy, you see this. Here I try to do something. I noticed that because you have several buttons in this application, when somebody flips the program, when somebody flips the orientation of the program, some things will hide themselves. So it actually became a problem when I was testing it across different devices. So what did I do then? I said, okay, if that is the case, if this program cannot run in a flipped screen, now this is what I want you to do. Block somebody from flipping the program. So right here in our Android Studio, we're able to flip the program, but in actual sense, when the program runs in somebody's phone, he cannot flip it. If you flip it the other way around, nothing is going to work. It will just remain like that, looking at you. Okay? My PC seems to be hanging. What's wrong? Normally this blue stack used to hang my computer. That's why I didn't open it up initially. It can hang my computer very, very well. And that is by the way. So what I actually did in this Android manifest, is that if you look here, it says, okay, if you look here now, it says Android name, Android activity, Android name, main activity. Okay, of course that's what. So I gave a space here and then placed Android, set orientation property of it to portrait, so that the person cannot flip it. The phone will always stand. Even if you flip, it will not turn, the application will not turn with you along. Okay, so that's actually what I did. Now you can see it seems to be showing clearly in this very hair. Exactly, this is what I was talking about. Okay, you can see things are very much scattered, and because we have so many buttons in this program, so initially I thought of, okay, since somebody can type in this edit text, why not let me delete the button so that every other thing, the numbers, so that every other signs and symbols can take up the menu space and show up very well. I said no, let me leave it, let me not do it that way. So that is just that. So let's get to Android emulator and see if we can. Let's see if we can open up. Let us practice what we already have. This guy can be slow, very, very slow. Okay, I so much hate it. Can be slow. Or maybe my laptop is low. I should have used my second laptop for this. Now let me open the science calculator. Okay, this is it. Let's see whether it will open up. Of course it's going to open. Initially I've installed it and I'm sure it's going to open. It's going to open. It's going to open. Let's wait for it to open. So below this video you will still see a link from where you can download this file and take a look at it. I'm Chris from MobTech. Okay, it's nice seeing you. Next time I wish you subscribe to this video so that next time you can see my updates on Android and some other platforms. Okay, I also work on Windows. I like to work on Windows application for Windows computer, and as well like to work with, I like to work for web. Okay, you can see some of my applications, web applications. I'm a developer and I use several languages. I use languages like, I use C#, I use Visual Basic, I use Java, I use PHP, and I use so many other languages. So you can see here that the calculator is actually working. Okay, so we're able to add these things And notice that once I click the equal sign, if you click on any other button again, it goes away. So you can see our course is also working, the sign is also working, and our time is working. Everything is working. Look at what our CE does. It clears the last number at the end of it. Okay? And that is cool. Why our C will clear the whole content of the text though. Okay? So normally when you do this kind of thing, it returns nothing. It closes the program. Maybe this is not the latest version, because I tried installing the latest version, but my PC was hanging. So this very version I have here in this video style is probably one of the first versions of it, but I have modified it. Like I showed you, I have the try catch statement. These try catch statements are what are supposed to stop it from shutting down automatically if it encounters an error. Okay, what's wrong? Okay, so like you can see, I clicked that time, I clicked the multiplication sign and the whole thing shut down. Why? Because I don't have try catch statement in that version I'm running there, but right now I have it here. So this very version is not supposed to shut down. I'm sure everything works very well because of my try catch statement. I think that will be all for today. Thanks for coming around. Do subscribe and see you in our next tutorial or video or whatever. Okay, thank you.